Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I can take these off now. Hope you're having a good week. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought I'd take a moment to maybe just have a look at this kind of weird setup I've got going on. I tried it for a couple of weeks now. Seems to be working out all right. We'll see. I'm using OBS and NDI, not yet using Microsoft Teams in the mix. I think if I try and do any interviews with anyone or anything like that, I will try using the new NDI stuff that is in Microsoft Teams. That's quite interesting, I think. But I don't need it for this. I can just doing streaming, doing recording. The thing I really don't like about live stream, I can't remember if I've said this before, live streams or not, is where the stream goes live and the presenter is like not quite aware that it's live, so they're doing this, they're clicking around, they're going, oh we're live, hello, and I hate that. So that's why I put that kind of countdown in, because the reality is when you're doing the streaming, you don't actually know when it is you do go live, because there's so much delay that happens in between, the streaming, the compression, going up to YouTube, the preview. It's like 20-30 seconds delay, so it's really hard to know at what point you actually start going live. So I put that little countdown in to mean that actually I control when I start, because the preview bit, it doesn't really matter when in that preview you actually get connected and start the stream and actually start seeing me. It doesn't happen until kind of cut over. And I'm using OBS for all that. Really like OBS, seems to be working really well for me. So yeah, just a bit of interesting insight stuff. Hope you've had a good week. Look, behind me, the mess is all gone. That's interesting, right? So, yeah, that kind of happened this week. Finally got the furniture and bits and pieces in, got some tidying up done. Kind of happy with it. I'm sure it'll change over time as well, as different things kind of come and go, and I try different things out. But yeah, I'm really happy with the kind of setup as it is right now. It seems to be working really well. Did a meeting using the TV and the laptop behind me, which meant I could sit on the sofa, which was nice. One of those kind of passive meetings that you've got to be in, but don't really contribute much. So just a listening presentation style meeting. So that was good to do that there. But yeah, I like it. We'll see. All right, what's been going on? Well, like I said last week, I think for big announcements, stuff is being held back probably for Ignite. So that's kind of interesting, but you can make your own news, right? So I think that's what I've been doing this week. All the blog posts I'm going to talk about this week are all things that I've blogged. So yeah, just interesting. So first up, so talking about Microsoft Ignite, actually, I did a video. I think I talked about it last week. Said that it was going to come, and now it's here. So did a video about everything we know about Microsoft Ignite 2020. It's actually kind of since doing that, so that went out nearly a week ago, almost exactly a week ago now, and since then we know more, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But that kind of video has lots of information in it, about some featured speakers, what the agenda is going to look like, what the dates are, and links to registration, because unless you've been under a rock, you might have missed registration is now open. So you can definitely go and still do that. So yeah, that's what that blog post is. I did a little video about it as well, to kind of go through all the things. Yeah, Ignite's going to be interesting this year, I think. I'm actually quite excited for it, because I think it's a really good opportunity to see how Microsoft can do a really big virtual event. I know they've done Build, I know they've done Inspire, but Ignite is different again. It's a different audience, it's a different type of content. It's much more kind of technical in nature, maybe. So I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, I think. Yeah, so that's that. Also, other things that happened. I did let me show you this one, a blog post about some of the things Microsoft's doing to help people out who have been impacted by COVID-19, specifically those who have had their employment impacted. So this is kind of a blog post and video together that I put out. Basically, one of the things Microsoft have done is cut the price of certification exams to $15. What's kind of interesting, I didn't mention this in the video, but some people have been saying or asking me, well, why $15? Why not just make them free? It feels like a stupid, kind of arbitrary price to have. Why not just make them free? The reason actually is Microsoft are passing that $15 on to the companies that administrate the exams, kind of make them run, do the proctoring, do the oversight and the invigilation and stuff. So they can't just make them free, because then like who actually pays to do all that stuff? So by making them $15, I guess it gives them enough kind of revenue and stuff to kind of make sure those things can still happen. So I think that's what's happening. But yeah, the upshot is, if you can attest to Microsoft, I think there's like a form you fill in, that your employment has been impacted by COVID-19, then you can go take Microsoft certifications for $15 rather. I mean, these exams are normally $100 plus, right? So it's a significant discount. It's really good. It's really good to see. You can schedule it any time from now until the end of the year, and then you've got until kind of March, I think, to actually complete the exam. So good to see. I think this is nice. It's actually just one of a number of things Microsoft are doing. In fact, I could probably show you that now as well. So this is a great blog post actually. It's got there's loads of stuff in here, but it's partly to do with COVID, but it's actually partly recognizing the fact that the world is changing, the economy is changing, and we need to skill up a whole bunch of people to be kind of digital natives and to kind of work in this new economy. And actually this impact of COVID and the change in how we work is disadvantaging different people differently. And you can see some of these graphs on the page at the moment, how that's happening. And it's really stark, actually. Manual jobs obviously more at risk as well. So I think their call-out play is that, this big lockdown event that we've had over the past couple of months really is going to really put the pedal to the metal for digitization, and this kind of what was happening already, but you'll see a big kind of spike in it. So Microsoft are coming out and saying, well, we need to employ people, we need to train people, we need to give them the skills that are needed, and so this is how we're going to go and do it. They put out this principled approach, and then launching a bunch of things. So it's data and better analytics, it's routes to become these types of job roles, it's free access to learning paths, it's the thing I talked about around certifications here, and here you can see the list of certifications that are $15, and it's cash grants to non-profits. You can see them listed here. So Microsoft doing an awful lot of things actually to really kind of promote what's going on. In fact, new learning app in Microsoft Teams, that's kind of the learning development stuff. That's interesting. Coming later this year, to bring learning into the natural flow of work. So yeah, that's interesting. Lots Microsoft are doing to kind of try and address this. So I think that's really good to see. I think it's nice to see large organisations, corporations trying to do the right thing, and I'm keen to kind of call it out whenever I see it. No beer today, just water. Other things that are happening. So I'm going to be speaking at my local developer conference. So it's another blog post I put out in the week. I'm going to be talking virtually. So it's interesting because it means anyone can go. It's local to me, kind of the group, but I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm going to be doing it from home. It's on September the 24th. And this is kind of an interesting one to some of the different speaking things I've been doing recently. So this is actually not a Microsoft specific conference because it's from my local development group, like physically local. Actually, Microsoft development is just one of a number of different skills. There's, I'm kind of in the minority as a developer, as a Microsoft developer for sure, whenever I go. So it's really, really interesting to be able to kind of talk outside of the bubble, if you like, and talk to different people about different things that are going on. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm going with the kind of roundup really of everything that's new at Microsoft, the Power Platform, the bots, what's going on with Teams, what's going on in AI, and really kind of level set everything that Microsoft's doing, and then we're probably just going to chat about how that compares to what other people are doing, what other things that, outside of the Microsoft bubble, how people are solving the same problems. So yeah, it should be interesting. I think it's going to be on Zoom. I couldn't get them onto Microsoft Teams for this one, but maybe next time. We'll see. Which should be fun to watch as well, because I'm a bit of I'm kind of all fingers and thumbs when it comes to Zoom, because I just don't do it very often. It's all Teams calls, so put me in front of Zoom and I'm a bit like, where's the mute button, and how do I share my screen? So that should be fun to watch. So yeah, we'll see. Other things that are happening. So this is a biggie actually. So this big blog post I put out this week, I should have kind of saved for the headline really, but here we go, bearing the lead. You can now use Microsoft Graph to import message data into Microsoft Teams. So what does that mean? It means that you can insert messages into a channel, but you can also set the timestamp of the message and you can set who it's from. So think big importing migration from third parties, migration from Slack, for instance. You'd want to take all that history, the last 5 years or whatever of messages, bring them into Teams as you migrate users from Slack to Teams, so that when they show up on their first day in Teams, everything is in place. It's not a completely empty team, and users understand what's going on and can kind of carry on right where they left off. That's not been possible up until now. However, there is now a new way of doing it, including a new thing called migration mode, which lets you do it. So I found it kind of quite by chance. I was looking for something else actually, but it's all documented on Microsoft Docs. It is in public preview, so you shouldn't really use it in production. It's not supported in production. The only other interesting kind of gotcha is that depending on your tenant, it may or may not work. So I think it feels like it's rolling out still to all tenants. So maybe if it doesn't work for you, give it a couple of weeks and try again. But you could definitely see it's coming, which is kind of really interesting. I think it's really good. I'm surprised it's taken this long in a way, but I get it's probably quite a hard problem to solve. But being able to support people moving to Microsoft Teams from different workloads feels like a no-brainer for Microsoft. It has always been tricky to do without these APIs, because there's really been no way of importing messages but keeping them in the right order and keeping them historically correct. They all just kind of came through at the time. You could just post them in, but in order, but they wouldn't be from the right people. They'd all be from some bot or whatever, and they'd all be like in the last 5 minutes or whatever. So yeah, this is much nicer. Much nicer. How you actually do it, I go into quite a lot of detail in the blog post, so I'm kind of probably not going to do it here. But it's all API calls in Graph. You create the team into a special migration mode. You send all the messages as post requests. You send all the messages in, post them in. When you're done, you turn off migration mode and you're back to a regular team. And the important thing is they go in just like regular messages into the channel. So it's a really, really nice user experience actually. So if you're interested in migrating messages over from other platforms into Microsoft Teams, then definitely that's worth a look. Other big bit of news, I've done this all the wrong way around, haven't I? Never mind. Is Microsoft Ignite. We now have the session list out, so that's interesting. I haven't done a blog post about that yet because I haven't had a chance to look through the sessions. I wanted to kind of list some things that I was interested in, so I will do that in the next couple of days. But the session list is now out, and also that means that I can tell you I'm going to be co-hosting a table talk at Microsoft Ignite this year, which is very exciting. Together with my co-hosts, we are going to be hosting this table talk session entitled Why We're Excited to Be a Developer Right Now. So a table talk is very open book. It's not a kind of me talking to people and them listening. It's a conversation. It's a chat. We want to trade stories and ideas, and it should be really interesting. It's an exciting time to be a developer, I think, right now. And what's interesting is that all my co-hosts come from different areas of the Microsoft kind of development business, or areas, if you like. So it'll be interesting to see. Each one will kind of saying, I think Quantum is really exciting, and I'll be saying I think Teams platform development is really exciting, and someone else will be saying I think open source is really exciting. So that's going to be really kind of interesting to see, and good chance as well for me to kind of broaden horizons and see some other things around the Microsoft stack as well. So that's all happening, and that's very exciting. Also, just as a reminder, coming up next week, so September the 15th, I'm going to be giving a talk for the London Reactor. Obviously not at the London Reactor, it's going to be virtual. But if that sounds interesting, then look out for that. I've done a previous blog post about it. You can find it if you go looking through my blog. That's September the 15th, London Reactor talk. That should be interesting. That's a kind of an all-up Microsoft Teams walkthrough and talk. So that should be good as well. Right, I think that's everything. It's been I think next week should be interesting, and then we're into Ignite. So, next week I think probably we'll see some more things. Who knows, right? Hard to know. But then into Ignite week. So odd one this year, I guess. Like, feels slightly strange to be coming into Ignite, but then not be traveling around or not seeing anyone else travel around. But that's the way it is now. I'm really seriously contemplating taking a couple of days off work to cover Ignite. Actually, I don't mean cover it. I mean just attend it to cover the period of Ignite, and just attend it and try and attend it like I would a conference. Multiple sessions, dedicated time spent to networking. I don't know if that's going to work. I think the networking thing, especially, it's going to require everyone else that I want to network with to also be doing the same thing. Otherwise, it's kind of not going to work. But we'll see. Should be interesting anyway. Right, I think that's enough wittering from me. So I'm going to say I hope you have a really good weekend, whatever it is you're doing, and I will speak to you again